Hey everybody, this weekend is Easter weekend and I hope it is amazing for you. And preparing you for Easter weekend, we're going to do a little middle of the week worship together. Hey, thanks for joining me. My name is Jeff, and if you're not already connected with the church, if you don't know anything about our church, if you're not really even sure what this thing called Christianity is or anything about your faith, well, this broadcast is designed to just help you start to figure some things out. We want to teach you some of the basics about the faith. And today we will talk about angels, and we'll take a look at a specific part of the Bible that describes angels. You can find out more about what we're going to talk about in the notes below me as the description of this episode, but you can also learn more about our broadcast, about me, about this church and where we are by watching this YouTube video. The link is right there in the description. And when this episode is over with, if you'll just go check that link out, it will tell you more about us. We're doing this discussion about angels. And I've said last week that really my goal is not to teach you more about angels, although that's the topic that we're discussing. What I really want you to do is I want you to learn more about God. And I want you also to learn more about yourself. And I think we can learn a lot about ourselves and a lot about God by learning about angels. We can learn who our God is. We can learn what kind of God He is by the way that He created. In fact, the earth and the universe that we live in says something about our God. The fact that people were created in His image, just people in general, says something about our God, and angels and the created beings that are with Him in heaven says something about our God. So if I could just recap, we described that angels are created beings, but they're subordinate to God. And right now, we are subordinate to them. They're a little bit higher than us, but the day will come when they will be subordinate to us also. Last week, I said that angels are spiritual beings, but there are moments where they step into our physical world and they interact with people, not at all like the crazy nutcase examples that you see in the movies, but I do think that there are specific examples where God sends angels for a very specific reason, and they have very specific conversations with people, and those people know that they were talking to angels. But what we learned last week is that we're entertaining angels regularly, chances are, and that God sends His angels as ministers to take care of His people. And my guess is the vast majority, or almost the entire time that angels are ministering to us, we don't even know it. Well, today I want to talk about angels being eternal beings, but they are, or at least there was a moment in time where they are changeable. I think a lot of people think, well, human beings go through this process of time, but angels exist outside of time. So angels are always the same. They've never, ever been any different than they are today. And I do think that there is some truth in that, but there must have been at least one moment in time where they where they had the chance to change, where they went through, where they had to make a decision about whether or not they were going to be loyal to God. And if you know anything about what happened in heaven when the chief of all angels, the great angel Lucifer, rebelled, and about a third of the angels in heaven rebelled with him, God pronounced judgment on them. There is no way for those angels to be made right with God again. And the angels that remained faithful to Him, they never actually left or lost their faith in Him. But for us, we have rebelled against Him. And God, who loves us and wants to have a relationship with us, He made it possible. He made a way so that we could have a relationship and be restored to Him even after we rebelled. And I think to prepare you for what we're going to hear today, to prepare your heart for the greatest holiday of the year, the Easter Resurrection Sunday, I'd just like to ask you to sing the song Waymaker. Maybe you've never heard the song before. It doesn't matter. The words are going to be right there on the screen, and it's a pretty simple song. So why don't you go ahead and sing along, and then we'll come back and learn about these beings that we call angels, but actually learn about us and learn about God. Sing along, will you?
You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, you're moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. You are the waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are the waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are here, you're touching every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, you're healing every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, you're turning lives around. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, you're mending every heart. I worship you. I worship you. Yeah, you are the waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. 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 You're the light of the world. You're the king of these people. You're the one we trust in. You're the one we trust in. We lean to you, Lord. More and more to you. We look to you, Lord. More and more to you. 'Cause you are the way maker, our miracle worker. It's even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. Never stop. I feel there is a lot of us that do not see him work at the moment. That do not feel him work at the moment. But I want us to sing this part as a declaration, like we believe, Jesus, that you are the one working in the background. You are the one that's working on our behalf. And all the glory will belong to you. And even though we don't see it, and even though we don't feel it, we trust you, Jesus, to be the way maker in our lives, in this town, in this church, in our schools, in our workplace, in our governments. Let's sing, even when I don't see it. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop, waymaker. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are the waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Yes, you are the waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are.
The movies sometimes do a terrible job of describing angels. They sometimes show angels what the best guess of what angels would be like. I'm going to show you a movie clip just because I think the movie's pretty cool, and it's just because I like Anthony Mackie and Matt Damon. If you've ever seen the movie The Adjustment Bureau, when you start watching the movie, people are scratching their heads saying, what on earth is happening here? I don't understand the movie until Anthony Mackie describes what's happening directly to Matt Damon. And Matt Damon asks him a couple of questions like, are you an angel? And I want you to notice, in fact, I ended this video clip in a very specific place. It's kind of an abrupt ending, but I did it on purpose because I want you to notice Anthony Mackie's answer to Matt Damon when he asks him, are you an angel? Check out this clip from the movie The Adjustment Bureau.
If you reveal us, even if it's unintentional, Richardson has automatic authority to reset you.
You mean lobotomize me?
Try not to forget it. Be on the 4 p.m. boat. Ask your questions. I'll tell you what I can.
Well, what were they doing to Charlie?
Just changing the way he weighs investment risks, which will subtly shift the direction of his company in the way upstairs wants.
So Richardson could read my mind?
Richardson was trying to scare you.
No, he knew the number I was thinking of, the color.
Because he set it up as a choice. Choose a color, choose a number. We can't read your mind or hear your thoughts. When you make a decision, your mind weighs options. We can perceive that. We know when you're going to go off the plan or not because if we're close enough, we can sense when it's going to happen. We're just here to keep you on plan. That's all we're authorized to do.
Are you allowed to be telling me this stuff? I mean, are they following me now?
We have to monitor the entire world. We don't have the manpower to follow everyone all the time. And there's something about water. It blocks our ability to read your decision tree.
Are you an angel?
We've been called that. We're more like case officers who live a lot longer than humans.
Many people think angels are eternal. They've been around forever. They're always been around and they always will be around. But the problem with that language is if angels are created beings, there must have been a moment before they were created. Some people believe that angels are unchangeable, but then we have the struggle with, well, why is it possible that some of those angels could fall from heaven like lightning, Jesus' words to refer to Satan or Lucifer, the chief angel, and those that followed him? And I'm not exactly sure I understand how this is going. So I'm going to admit to you, I don't know that anybody has the definitive answer on what happens next. But I do think the Bible gives us a lot of information. It just doesn't give us all of the information that we would need in order to make an answer that cannot be refuted. So I personally believe there was a moment, maybe a lot of moments in the past where angels could make a decision. Are you going to be faithful to God? Are you going to remain loyal to him? Or are you going to rebel against him? And then Satan, Lucifer is his angelic name, rebelled. And many of the angels chose to rebel with him. And then after that, they were assigned to the punishment that was originally designed for him, not for people. Now, maybe the best way to refer to this is good angels and bad angels, or some have said elect angels and those non-elect angels. And I think all of that language is good. But if you really want to know how did this thing work, what happened here, I'm not sure anybody can answer that because the Bible doesn't paint us a crystal clear picture. And secondly, none of us were there. We do have some information though. 2 Peter chapter 2 talks about the angels rebelling and God punishing them with the fires of hell. It's actually the pit of hell, depending on how it's translated, as God's plan for their punishment. That punishment hasn't happened yet, but it will happen on the judgment day. But I think this really, really short one chapter book in the New Testament, the Bible book of Jude, gives us a little bit of information here. And Jude, verse 6, says this, "And the angels who did not keep their own position, but abandoned their proper dwelling, he has kept in eternal chains in deep darkness for the judgment on the great day." This is found in the book of Jude. This is verse 6. Notice there's no chapters in Jude, so we just have a verse to refer to it. This is a long verse in the Bible, but I still want you to consider memorizing this verse, because it tells us a little bit about what happened in the spiritual realm when these angels rebelled and they decided to turn their back on God. And it says that they didn't keep their position, that they abandoned their proper dwelling is the language that Jude uses here. And because of that, God has a plan for them. He's right now keeping them in chains. Basically, that language means he's holding them back from having total control or total destruction on the earth. But there is a day coming, according to Jude 6, where God will finally and fully punish them. The idea here is that there was an opportunity that the angels had to turn their back on God. Now, unlike us, who have never been in God's presence, have never seen God with our own eyes. In fact, the Bible says we can't see God with our own eyes and live. Unlike us, the angels were actually in God's presence when they had this opportunity, air quotes, to rebel against God. And because they rebelled in his very presence, God chose the worst form of punishment for them. 2 Peter chapter 2, Jude chapter 6, other parts of the Bible refer to that punishment as hell. And it's the same hell that people who absolutely deny the existence of God or choose to rebel and remain in a constant state of rebellion against him, they will end up in the same hell. But I want you to hear something. God didn't create hell for people. He created hell for those angels who in his very presence and to his face rebelled against him. But I said at the beginning of this episode, and I'm going to wrap it up with this, we're learning not so much about angels. We're learning about us. We're also learning about our God. And we already know this about us. We don't need the Bible to tell us this. All of us know this intrinsically. We have this seed of rebellion inside of us that makes us, that pulls us towards rebellion against God. And we inherited that when our first ancestors, when Adam and Eve rebelled against God. But God wasn't in the room, so to speak, when they rebelled. When the angels rebelled, they did it in his very presence. And I want to ask a question now. It's not designed to be a trick question. It's not designed to be a intensely theological question, but it should cause you to walk away with this incredible understanding of who our God is. I'll put the question on the screens for you, and I want you to think with me about this question for just a second. What does it suggest that our God would give the angels, quote, the opportunity to rebel against him? Listen, if God is all powerful, if God is the one who created the angels, he could have created them in such a way that they couldn't rebel. He could have created you and I in such a way that we couldn't rebel. When we rebel, he's out there, we're over here. He's not right in my face, so I can rebel and don't feel the shame, or I don't feel his eyes penetrating on me when I do it. But those angels, when they rebelled, man, they did it right in his presence. And I want to ask the question, what does this say about our God? That he would even allow that possibility to happen? Because when you think about this question, it should make you all of the more amazed at how incredible our God is. And I hope that's the thing that starts to percolate in your heart this week as you start to reflect on the fact that our God loved us so much that instead of leaving us in this helpless state of rebellion, he sent his son Jesus to go get us and to turn our hearts around and to call us into a relationship with him. And in order to do that, Jesus had to give up his life on the cross. That's what we're going to celebrate this Friday. But Christianity would be a worthless faith. And that's not me talking. That's the Bible describing this from the great apostle Paul. If there was no resurrection, we would be, of all people, most miserable. No, that body didn't stay in the grave. Jesus demonstrated that he really was the Son of God and really did have power over death and even hell itself when he came back out of the grave on Easter Sunday. And I hope this is the most significant holiday of the year for you. I'm not talking about dresses and chocolate or bunnies and baskets. I'm talking about your relationship with the God of the universe because of what Easter Sunday says about you being in God's presence one day. So I'm just going to leave it with that. Thank you for joining me this week. See you next time. God bless.